Namaskar. I have just received the author's copies of the book Pandits in Modern India Studies in the Pandit Tradition of the 19th and 20th Centuries. The book has been authored by me and has been published by the Bhandarkar Oriental Research Institute of Pune. It comprises the work or studies made by me during my 2 years stay at the Bhandarkar Oriental Research Institute on Karnataka Chair of Orientology. The work includes a foreword by Professor Pramod Joglekar, Director of the Infosys Academic Program at the Bhandarkar Oriental Research Institute, a preface by me, and studies in the life and deeds of the Pandits of 19th and 20th centuries in three parts. The first part includes 77 Pandits who were born in 19th century and mostly they flourished during this century. The second part includes studies on the life and deeds of 49 Pandits born after 1900, that is early beginning of the 20th century, and who flourished during most of the 20th century. The third part of this work presents studies on some of the important Shastric works produced by these Pandits. I do not want to say much about this book. I will read out some excerpts from my preface, and I would also read out the list of 126 Pandits whose works and lives have been discussed in this volume. And in the end, I would read out a passage from the foreword by Professor Pramod Joglekar. So here are some of the remarks which I have made in the preface of this work. This study aims at creating an intellectual history of India for the period between 1850 AD to 210 AD, with reference to the achievements and contributions made by the Pandits. An attempt has been made to bring out the holistic perspective of the Pandits in modern India and to examine their overall contribution to the society as well as the viability of the Pandit tradition in our times. The whole 19th century and early decades of the 20th century have produced greatest savants in the line of Pandits. We can perhaps name not a dozen, but hundreds of great Pandits who flourished in these 2 centuries. Many of them are as brilliant as Kapila, Kanad, or Gautama. Some of them could have been ranked with greatest philosophers of modern times, like Russell, Wittgenstein, or Whitehead. Still others appear like the rishis of ancient times. There are pundits like Madhusudan Ojha, spelling out a completely new theory of Vedic Vijnana, or Ramavatar Sharma courageously proclaiming an entirely new philosophy, or Taranath Tarkavachaspati single handedly authoring a complete encyclopedic dictionary of Sanskrit covering more than 5,500 pages in large size print. The significance of their lives and deeds may be realized after shifting much of the chaff that covers them. The number of eminent Pandits who have lived during The period of the past 2 centuries runs into thousands. For my purpose, I have been collecting data about these Pandits, which can be developed into an encyclopedia. The biographies of a few Pandits in the present volume are given only as illustrations with a view to make an assessment of the prospects and the future of the knowledge systems in our times. The Pandits have been cultivating, preserving, and resuscitating the knowledge systems in India. These knowledge systems have been developing through millennia. The continuous process of the development carried out by, carried out by the Pandits is marked with plurality and covers evolutionary stages. The concept of eternity, Nityata, characterizes these knowledge systems. There are two types of eternity: Kutastha Nityata, the eternity which is fixed and unchanging, and Pravaha Nityata, eternity which remains in continuous flux. The Pandits appear very rigid and uncompromising sometimes, and at times their approach is flexible. They were receptive to new social order. They continued to explore the knowledge traditions with a view to extend their frontiers. They have created new shastras, and the discussions by them are marked with the following tendencies. Number one, reinterpreting the old concepts and theories with a view to present the hermeneutics and application on new writings in Sanskrit with their and other languages. Number two, evolving new categories and concepts. And number three, defining new norms. To a large extent, the Pandits were able to explore traditions in relation to the milieu. They could address the social, moral, and political issues of their times. They were sometimes waging a losing battle with their colonizers and sometimes were being inflicted with a colonial mindset. But there was a large section of the Pandits which looked beyond their times and which was envisaging a decolonized India. The legacy of the Pandits not only survives, and the Pandit tradition has continued to invigorate itself amidst the turmoil of contemporaneity. The scope of this work did not allow discussion on the younger generation of Pandits that has emerged during the last decades of the 20th century as well as the first 2 decades of the 21st century. But the facts emerging out of this study do lead to a reassurance about the continuity and vitality of a great tradition which persists and refuses to die. There are Pandits like R.G. Bhandarkar, Ramavatar Sharma, Govind Chand Pandey, or Vidyanivas Mishra who have been addressing Europe and also critiquing her. Ramavatar Sharma and Gopinath Kaviraj can definitely be ranked at par with the greatest world philosophers. The West, however, will not regard them as philosophers because they are doing philosophy in the Western way. The Pandit tradition has not failed. It has been marginalized and was thwarted by the onslaught of a geopolitics and a kind of power game in global intellectual order. Pandits always stood to respond to Europe. The Europe and the India that has been created by Eurocentric discourse failed to understand their responses properly. The failures in understanding have been due to the divergence between two worlds: the world of pagans and the non pagans, one subsisting on pluralities and the cyclic notions of time, and the other one relying on singularities and unilinear views. I would omit various paras of my preface. I have referred to R.G. Bhandarkar, the way he criticizes some of the European Orientalists as prosecuting councils, and he says that they overlooked the niceties and subtle thoughts of the Vedas. To them, the Indian philosophical tradition is a monolith, and Bhandarkar tries to point out the diversity in Indian philosophical or Shastric traditions. Pandits like Tarkatirth Lakshman Shastri Joshi were harbingers of the process of decolonization at intellectual level. Tarkatirth strongly criticizes Hegel for his adjustment of the inferiority of Hinduism with regard to the concept of God in Christianity. In contrast to the colonial Eurocentric view of Indian culture, which find it basically spiritual, he holds material as the basis of spiritual aspect in religion. Tarkatirth views the growth of culture beginning from instinctive life to the scientific attitude. He discusses the thin boundary lines between the sacred and the profane in religion. He analyzes the process of creating religious rites, and discusses the genesis of religion, its generalized forms and cultivated formulations. He describes Purv Mimamsa as a social science and Uttar Mimamsa as a spiritual science, and morality as the essence of both the systems. With this integrated view of life and the knowledge systems, the Pandits in our times had already started incorporating technology and modern scientific tools. The new genesis, the new generation of young Pandits is all set to put forward their inheritance at global level in a more meaningful way. In the introductory part of this work, I have discussed the concept of a Pandit as envisaged in the tradition. Many of the Pandits have been poets par excellence, and their literary activity corroborated with their scholarly pursuits. In all such cases, an assessment of the literary activity and creativity of the person concerned has also been taken up. The work has been divided into three parts, prefixed with a detailed introduction. Part 1 presents critical intellectual biographies of 78 Pandits born between 1800 to 1900. Part 2 carries this journey forward by covering data on 49 Pandits born after 1900. These biographies include the account of life and deeds of the Pandits and their milieu, the cultural fabric, social conditions, as well as the life in the pathshalas, tolls, or educational institutions where these Pandits studied and served. The list of Pandits whose biographical sketches have been included in this part is just illustrative. There are definitely many more Samas who stand as their peers. This study addresses the following questions with regard to the Pandit tradition. Number one, to what extent the Pandits entered into dialogue with the society, and how did they deal with the social, moral, or political issues in their times? Number two, were there inner conflicts and disparities within the Pandit tradition itself? Number three, to what extent the Pandits survived the onslaughts of colonialism as well as the scientific and technical advancement in modern age? It is intended to critique the responses of the Pandits to historical processes. Number four, how does the how does their legacy continue, and to what extent their impact persists in recent times? Number five, how relevant is the Pandit tradition now? I- Does it still exist or is dead? These questions have been addressed in this study in this volume. The narratives of the life and deeds of the Pandits, as recorded here, will open many forgotten chapters of our immediate past. They will hopefully rectify the distorted picture created by British colonizers, Western Orientalists, and Eurocentric discourses, viewing the Pandit tradition and the Pandithood as something fossilized in the past incapable of developing a phenomena that has become irrelevant and lifeless. Also, they will hopefully put forward a tradition which still remains vibrant and potential, though marginalized and sidetracked. It has been a thrilling intellectual ad- it has been a thrilling intellectual adventure for me to revisit histories which have sunk in amnesia, forgetting the legacy which was to be cherished and nourished, has been an act of ungratefulness on the part of the modern society. Remembering the Pandits of yore will not only enable us to repay their debts, it will hopefully help us in resolving our own problems and to carry forward the traditions which are still relevant to us. It may also help us in understanding ourselves in a better way and to take curative steps to resolve our own shortcomings and failures. This study addresses some of the most intriguing questions with regard to the Pandit tradition, discussing the attempts of the Pandits to enter into dialogue with the society and the way they have addressed the social, moral, and political issues of our times. The revealing accounts of the struggles and activities of some of the greatest unsung heroes amongst the Pandits will create greater awareness about the viability and the knowledge traditions in India. This study will also open new vistas for creating hermeneutics with reference to the Pandit based knowledge systems. I will read out the list of the Pandits which figure in the two parts of this book. The first part discusses the lives and works of the following Pandits with their intensive intellectual biographies. Bal Shastri Jamkhedkar, born in 1810, Taranath Tarkavachaspati, born in 1812 and lived up to 1885, Bapu Dev Shastri, Rajendra Lal Mitra, Krishna Shastri Chiplunkar, Kailash Chandra Vidya Vachaspati, Umapati Tripathi, Dr. R. G. Bhandarkar, Bal Shastri Ranade, Shankar Pandurang Pandit, Jivanand Vidyasagar, Keral Verma, Satyavrat Samashrami, Anandoram Borua, Vishnu Shastri Chiplunकर, गंगाधर शास्त्री, उमापति द्विवेदी, बाल गंगाधर तिलक, शिव कुमार शास्त्री, पंडिता रमाबाई, वी एस आपटे, बच्चा झा, टी गणपति शास्त्री, सुधाकर द्विवेदी, परशुराम नारायण अप्पा साहेब पाटनकर, वासुदेव शास्त्री अभ्यंकर, मानवल्ली रामकृष्ण कवि, मधुसूदन ओझा, श्रीपाद दामोदर सातवलेकर, पंडित राज के रामा पिशरोटी, गंगानाथ झा, अप्पा शास्त्री राशि वडेकर, हानेगल विरूपाक्ष शास्त्री, अनंताचार्य, गणेश प्रसाद वर्णी, दामोदर लाल गोस्वामी, बेलन कोंड रामाराय कवि, धर्मानंद कोसाम्बी, हरिदास सिद्धांत वागीश, रामावतार शर्मा, विधुशेखर शास्त्री, काव्यकंठ गणपति मुनि, लक्ष्मण शास्त्री तेलंग, वामाचरण भट्टाचार्य, पांडुरंग वामन काणे, श्रीपाद कृष्ण बेलवेलकर, गिरिधर शर्मा नवरत्न, गिरिधर शर्मा चतुर्वेदी, चंद्रधर शर्मा गुलेरी, ताराचरण भट्टाचार्य, गोपीनाथ कविराज, कुंडेराव हरकारे, वी एस सुखथनकर, श्रीपाद शास्त्री हसूरकर, भट्ट मथुरानाथ शास्त्री, मुनि जिन विजय, संपूर्णानंद, पडमन्ना पडमन्नूर नारायण नारायणाचार्य, पी के गोडे, रामाचार्य गलगली, राहुल सांकृत्यायन, वासुदेव विष्णु मिराशी, रघुनाथ दामोदर करमारकर, पुरुषोत्तम विश्वनाथ बापट, गिरिधर लाल शास्त्री, सिद्धेश्वर शास्त्री चित्राव, उमेश मिश्रा, पुरुषोत्तम विश्वनाथ बापट, चारुदेव शास्त्री, के ए सुब्रमण्य अय्यर, देवकृष्ण केशव पंडित, के एस रामस्वामी शास्त्री शिरोमणि, त्र्यंबक भंडारकर, कांतिचंद्र पांडे, बाबूराम सक्सेना, रघुनाथ शर्मा, Rajeshwar Shastri Dravina. These 77 Pandits actually have been included in the first part of this work. They cover the vast geographical area in this vast peninsula that is India. The Pandits lived and spent their lives in villages in various interior regions of the country, and they have struggled hard to survive and to keep the Pandit tradition, the Shastric tradition alive. They did amazing works. In the second part, I include the intensive intellectual biographies of Tarkatirth Lakshman Shastri Joshi, who was born in 1901 and lived up to 1994. Then Surya Narayan Vyas from Ujjain, Vasudev Sharan Agrawal, who was curator at Mathura Museum and then professor at Kashi Hindu Vishwavidyalaya, S.M. Katre, who worked at Pune at Deccan College, Sadashiv Das Sharma from Puri, Lakshman Ju from Kashmir, Damodar Dharmanand Kosambi, who worked at Calcutta and then Pune, V. Raghavan, Yudhishthir Mimansaka, great Mimansaka, true to his name, Gaurinath Shastri from Bengal, R.N. Dandekar from Maharashtra, Pannalal Jain, who lived at Sagar and was an amazing personality, Ganesh Triambak Deshpande, G.T. Deshpande, who spent most of his life at Nagpur, Chintaman Ganesh Kashikar, a well-known scholar from Pune, Ramchandra Mishra from Mithila, Rajaram Shastri Gadgil. He worked at Gwalior and then was invited at Kashi also. Indrachand Shastri Indra, who lived at Delhi, Fateh Singh from Rajasthan, Govind Keshav Bhatt, Goka Bhatt, of course, T.G. Mainkar, who served at Delhi University and then Mumbai University, M.A. Mahendale, Sridhar Bhaskar Varnekar, Ramji Upadhyay, who spent most of his life as professor at Sagar and then lived at Kashi, Pandit Bachulal Avasthi, one of the greatest Pandits of 20th century, who has produced a voluminous encyclopedia of Bharatiya Darshan, Bharatiya Darshan Shastra Brahat Kosh. In originally it was in 40 volumes, and now it is being printed in 10 volumes by his daughter. He has produced various other works as well. S.D. Joshi, Shida Joshi from Pune, G.B. Palsule, Prem Naran Devedi from Sagar, a small township in Madhya Pradesh, Govind Chand Pandey, Prabhakar Narayan Kavthekar, who was from Indore in Madhya Pradesh, Vidya Nivas Mishra, Pullele Sri Ramchandradu from Andhra Pradesh, N.S. Ramanuj Tatacharya, Ramaranjan Mukherjee, Pramod Ganesh Lale, who was at Hyderabad, Usmania University, and then served at Pune in the Bhandarkar Institute as well. Vishwanath Bhattacharya, who was at Sagar and then served at BHU also. Vishwanath Mishra served at Bikaner. Satyavrat Shastri, of course, well-known figure. Padma Bhushan. Vishwesh Tirtha, well-known pontiff. Bhagirath Prasad Shastri Vagish Shastri, Jagannath Pathak, Ramchandra Dwivedi, Deva Prasad Dwivedi, and Bananjay Govindacharya. I have justified why I include Jagannath Pathak also, and Bhandarkar, R.G. Bhandarkar also, and Triambak Bhandarkar also in this list. I have given a concept of Pandit, which is a vibrant concept, and it is not restricted to the person wearing a particular race and having a tilak on his forehead. I include Dharmananda Kosambi also, who was a Buddhist scholar, but one of the greatest personalities that our times have produced. And I have included his son also. I have included Dharmananda Kosambi, and his son Didi Kosambi also. And to me, all of these are Pandits because I have given a I have cited various definitions of the Pandits right from Gita, various commentaries, and who is actually a Pandit in our tradition. So I have critiqued the colonial discourse and the colonial concept of the Pandit, which restricts the concept of Pandit, the image which which projects a particular image of the Pandits on the basis of his attire, on the basis of his Veshbhusha. So these are the greatest intellectuals belonging to the Sanskrit tradition of knowledge systems, actually. And they are to me the Pandits. They are to me the real Pandits. And I discuss their lives, their struggles, the hardships they have faced in their lives, and the works they have produced. Their thought world basically I want to discuss here. It was an enormous work. It was a challenge to do, and I have tried to do it through all my limitations. And I hope that this work will reawaken the interest of modern society into a great tradition which survives and which looks beyond times and which is relevant to us. And that is the Pandit tradition. Thank you very much.